What's up everyone, this is Puka back with another video in our beginner series of decks. This series is aimed towards players just trying to get into the competitive Pokemon TCG, just starting off, trying to learn where to start. I've done 3 videos before this one if you were interested in seeing some other decks, just to start off with. The other 3 I've done are a Blastoise Keldeo deck, a Tool Drop Trubbish deck, and also a round deck with Seismitoad and Meloetta EX. Now this deck is going to be kind of an older strategy that is still very much viable, very powerful, useful in the current state of the game, and that's going to be a Garchomp Altaria deck. Now this strategy came out last year, it received a lot of hype, and it really wasn't that great, but it has gotten a little better with the recent rule changes and with some other cards that have come out to benefit it. Alright, so let's just jump into it. This deck is going to focus around the Stage 2 attacker, Garchomp. For 1 energy, it does 60 damage, Mock Cut, discard a special energy attached to the defending Pokemon. Then for a water and a fighting energy, you use Dragon Blade for 100 damage, and then discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Now, discarding 2 cards from your deck is a very costly effect, but it's worth it for this big 100 damage, very cheap attack, just 2 energy. Now, believe it or not, this actually is not good enough in the current state of the game to be good. Garchomp needs some kind of support because it is a Stage 2 Pokemon, and it's very difficult to get into play sometimes. The game revolves a lot around basic Pokemon right now, so having to get a Stage 2 into play, you need some benefit of it. Now, the first benefit, it is not an EX Pokemon, so it only gives up 1 prize when it's knocked out. But we have a partner for it. That's going to be Altaria. Now, Altaria is only going to sit on your bench for its ability, Fight Song. Your Dragon Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to the active Pokemon, and that's pretty good. They also stack up, so if you get more than 1 in play, you do 20 more for each Altaria you have in play. So if you have 1 in play, you do 20 more, 2 in play, you do 40 more damage, and so on. So, once you have 1 or 2 Altaria in play, look at how much stronger Garchomp's attacks become. Mock Cut would then do 80 or 100 damage, Dragon Blade doing 120 or 140 damage. That's pretty good. So the idea is to get these Dragon Pokemon in play, start hitting for a lot of damage with Garchomp, thanks to Altaria's Fight Song. Of course, we do need the lower stages of the cards as well. We play 4 Gibble. You don't really want to attack with this little guy, but in dire situations you can Sand Attack to potentially prevent your opponent from attacking you. And then we have Gabite. Honestly, this is the star of the deck, and this is why the deck works. Its ability, Dragon Call. Once during your turn, you can search for a Dragon Pokemon and put it into your hand. Now, you can also use more than 1 of these in a turn. So you can get 1 Gabite, and then search for another Gabite, and then search for another Gabite, and so on and so forth. And this allows you to swarm with your Garchomp attackers. You can just do a non-stop train of Garchomp attackers over and over and over until you can grind down your opponent. So this allows you to search for all of your Dragon Pokemon. Very, very good. One of the best abilities in the game, honestly. Just allows you to search for almost all of your Pokemon. Really good. Now we also need to run Swablu. Unfortunately, there are no Dragon Swablus, so we have to use this colorless one with 40 HP. Again, you don't want to be attacking with this. All it really can do is sing. Maybe you can put your opponent to sleep sometimes, but try not to attack with Swablu. Just Garchomp most of the time. So we run 4-4-4 Garchomp to make sure we get as many in play as possible, and then a 3-3 Altaria line, since you only really need 2 in play. But we run 3-3 of them, just in case one's prized, some get knocked out, etc. So that is the meat of the deck. There are some other tech cards that are going to help you out in certain situations. Mr. Mime is a big one. Its ability, Bench Barrier, prevents all effects, or all damage done to your benched Pokemon by attacks. So, a lot of decks revolve around strategies that hit your bench. Cards like Darkrai EX, Genesect EX, or the Team Plasma Curum, all very popular cards that'll hit your bench. And Mr. Mime can prevent that. It's very good, since some of your Pokemon are kind of weak. Gible has 60 HP, Swablu has 40 HP, etc. So Mr. Mime, very important. And then we have Jirachi, there we go, Jirachi EX. When you put it down, its ability allows you to search for a supporter card. So this can help you out in a pinch, in case you don't have a supporter card in your hand. But you have a way to search for this Jirachi EX. You can turn that into instant draw power. So this is a very good card to include in your deck when you can. So that's the Pokemon section. Then we'll go into the important trainer section. We'll start with the supporters. We have 3 Colrus. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw a number of cards equal to the number of benched Pokemon. So this can draw anywhere from 0 to 10 cards. Now, you don't want to be playing it if you're drawing 0 cards. So early on in the game, this won't be too useful. But your bench normally is very full, so this card is very good in this deck. Then we have N, one of the most powerful cards in the game. Each player shuffles in and draws the same number of cards as you have prize cards. So at the beginning, it'll be 6 cards that you draw with this, and at the end of the game, you can use it to disrupt your opponent when they have taken a lot of prize cards. Professor Juniper, discard your hand and draw 7 cards. Straightforward, very powerful draw card. And then Skyla, oh man, Pokemon TCG Online likes to double click. I hope they fix that bug at some point. Anyway, Skyla, search your deck for a trainer card, reveal it, and put it in your hand. Shuffle your deck afterward. Pretty simple, search for any trainer card. This can be a supporter, an item, or a stadium card. Anything with the trainer class up in the top left corner. So that's going to wrap up the supporter cards. Then we'll look at some important trainer cards as well. We play 4 Level Ball, so that's it searches for any Pokemon with 90 HP or less. Now, why are we playing 4 of these? Well, Level Ball searches for absolutely every Pokemon in the deck, except for Garchomp. However, Gabite can search for Garchomp, so all we really need to do is play Level Ball, and then Gabite can do the rest of the work. Again, Gabite is kind of the star of the deck. He makes everything run very smoothly. Let me play 3 Rare Candy in case we want to skip from Gible all the way to Garchomp. You can just play a Rare Candy and then evolve right into Garchomp and skip the Gabite stage if you need to. This allows for very quick attacks and allows you to get more Garchomp in play a lot faster. From there, we have 2 Super Rod. This is very important in the deck because you can only run 4 Garchomp and he's your only attacker. We need to shuffle in any Garchomp that get knocked out back into the deck to reuse them. So we play 2 Super Rod. We may consider playing a 3rd one of these actually, because it's so important to keep your string of Garchomp attackers going. Then we have 2 Switch. Since our Pokemon have retreat costs, sometimes we may need to bypass that and play Switch. Or we can play Escape Rope, which also provides a switching effect, but it also forces your opponent to switch their active Pokemon as well. So it's another switching card, but it can provide some disruption as well. Then we have 2 Silver Mangle, a very important card against those pesky Pokemon EX that have high amounts of HP. This will allow you to do 30 more damage to Pokemon EX if you attach it to your active Pokemon. So Garchomp, let's just do a little math here. If we have a Silver Mangle attached, it's doing an extra 30 damage. And then if we have 2 Altaria in play, that's an extra 40 damage for a total of plus 70 damage. Then we can use Garchomp's Dragon Blade for 100 plus 70, which will knock out common Pokemon EX like Mewtwo EX, Keldeo EX, Genesect EX, and the list goes on. So Silver Mangle is a very powerful card that allows Garchomp to hit very high amounts of damage. The last card is the Ace Pick card, Computer Search. Discard 2 cards and search for any card. A very consistent card which will allow you to set up in a lot of games. You may consider running the card Dowsing Machine instead, but since we're focused on a beginner deck here, we just want to set up and just execute our strategy. We're just going to play Computer Search. Then to wrap it up, we have 6 energy, Fighting Energy. Garchomp takes Fighting Energy, so we do that. And then we play 4 Blend Energy, which can provide all 4 of these types at once. It's only 1 energy card, but it can provide fighting or water if you need it to. So if we take a look at Garchomp's attack cost, if you just have a Blend Energy, you can Mock Cut for 60. Or if you have a Blend Energy plus any of your other energy cards, fighting or the other blend, you can then use Dragon Blade, since you'll have a fighting and a water. So, this is a very useful card to meet your energy costs, so you always have the right energy. Alright, that's going to wrap up this deck. It's very simple, very straightforward, but very powerful. And in fact, we're going to take a look at a game I played where we showed off this strategy pretty well. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to flip a coin to see who goes first. I chose heads, and it came up heads, so yes, I will choose to go first. In general, you do want to go first. Even though the rules changed, and you cannot attack going first, a deck like this can't attack going first anyway, unless you want to sing. So you just want that extra turn to set up. You want that first opportunity to get all your Pokemon in play. So we are definitely going first with this deck. I would say most of the time you do want to go first. There can be some situations where you want to go second and put on some pressure early with the first attack, but in general, going first is very good. Alright, so it looks like we're going up against some kind of deck with Genesect EX and Bouffalant. We're sure to see Virizion EX and maybe Mewtwo EX. We'll have to see as the game progresses, but that's my first impression of what we're doing. We're going to play a level ball. We're just going to execute our strategy, search for a Gibble, and then we also have a Skyla that we can play to search for another level ball to get a second Gibble into play. We want to get these Gibbles out as fast as possible so that we can start evolving them and start getting Garchomp into play. So here we go. We played a Skyla for a second level ball, searched for a second Gibble. We'll put that down and attach an energy to it so that we can start powering up our attacker in the future. Garchomp is our only attacker, so we want to get him powered up as soon as possible. So we see a Hypnotoxic Laser and a Verbank City Gym from the opponent. That's going to poison me, and also the Verbank City Gym does 20 extra damage, so we'll take 30 from poison. That is very devastating, but that's all he can really do, since Bouffalant takes 3 energy to attack, and he only gets 1 attachment per turn. Alright, so I evolve into Altaria to take away the poison, since all special conditions go away when you evolve. We will evolve into the bench Altaria as well. Probably bench another Gibble. And honestly, just pass the turn. We want to leave 1 bench spot open for Mr. Mime in case we draw him. Because Genesect EX does damage the bench. And blocking that damage will be very valuable in the future. No need to bench all 4 Gibble at once. You usually want bench space for another Pokemon. Bench management is a very important skill that you'll learn if you play Pokemon more and more. It affects the game quite a bit. So, always be wary of you don't need to bench everything immediately. That's probably one of the best lessons you can learn in Pokemon. So I'm going to play a switch to get out of the poison and put my Gibble into the active position, hoping to draw a Gabite off of this N here, but we do not draw one. But we do get Mr. Mime, so we can put him down now. We'll attach an energy to the benched Gibble, and then go ahead with a Sand Attack, hopefully preventing my opponent from attacking on the following turn. That will force him to flip a coin if he wants to attack, and if he gets Tails, it'll do nothing. So he attaches a 3rd energy to the Bouffalant, and we're hoping for a Tails here, so that Gibble can survive. We'll see if that happens. My opponent played an N, and I got a perfect hand off of that one. But unfortunately, he does flip heads for the Gold Breaker and knocks out poor little Gibble. But now we're going to have some revenge. We have a Gabite that we can evolve to on the bench. And then Rare Candy into the Garchomp in the active position. And now, thanks to Altaria's Fight Song, we do have the opportunity to knock out this Bouffalant in a second here. So I use Dragon Call there to search for another Gibble, since it'll thin out my deck a little bit, my 1 card. I do need to draw this Blend Energy in order to use Garchomp's Dragon Blade. And there we go, we're going to Dragon Blade for 120 damage. It was plus 40 from Altaria's Fight Song, minus 20 from Bouffalant's Boofer ability, but it adds up to a knockout either way. So now we are looking in great shape. My opponent has no energy left in play, cannot power up any attackers anytime soon, it doesn't look like. We have a fully powered Garchomp, 2 Altaria on the bench, a Gabite to search for our other dragon Pokemon. And, you know, we're tied in prizes, so everything's looking good. My opponent uses a random receiver to reveal cards until he hits a supporter card, which happened to be an N. So we both shuffled in and drew 5 cards here. And there's an attachment onto Genesect EX, and he's going to pass for the turn. So we can evolve into another Gabite here. And now both benches are full. So we can go ahead and play a Chorus here. We could have evolved into that Garchomp there. But I am in favor of not evolving Gabite until we really have to, since we can always use Dragon Call to search for a Garchomp, and then we can just evolve at the last second. Being able to use Dragon Call pulls cards out of your deck so that you can draw more useful ones. So we're going to Dragon Call for a Garchomp, and then use a second Dragon Call for another Garchomp, just to take those cards out of the deck. And it looks like we'll just go ahead and evolve one. So there's not much else we need to search for at this point. And then we can Mach Cut for 100 damage, knocking out the active Tropius. So now we're down to 4 prizes. We are completely set up. Not in any danger of really being knocked out here. My opponent will play a Skyla here to grab a Hypnotoxic Laser. And there's going to be tails on that, so I won't go to sleep. But it will poison me. And again, we'll take 30 in between turns because of the Verbank City Gym. But he doesn't have enough energy to attack, so he has to pass the turn. Now what can I do here? So we're doing 140 damage with Garchomp's Dragon Blade, thanks to Altaria. Genesect EX has 170 HP, so we can play a Skyla, search for a Silver Bangle, and then do the additional 30 damage to knock out the Genesect EX. I'm just taking a look through my deck to see what is remaining, what resources I have left, just to see what I have to work with to finish out this game. It's important to do that. Taking a look at what my opponent has played. 4 Hypnotoxic Lasers are gone, so we don't have to worry about those anymore. The maximum amount of cards you can play for a copy of something is 4, besides basic energy. So once you see that there are 4 in the discard pile, you know there are none left to play. And alright, we're going to play a computer search here. Search for another blend energy so that we can attach that to another Garchomp. So we'll go ahead and take that. We'll Dragon Call just to search out another Pokemon. We'll take a Gibble since I don't want to discard that. We will be discarding 2 cards with Garchomp's Dragon Blade, so we want to take out a card that we don't want to discard, which will be Gibble. And then we'll attach. We're going to retreat to get rid of the poison, and then Dragon Blade for 170, wiping that Genesect EX out completely in one hit. Collecting 2 prizes, and my opponent will concede the game as a result. So you can see just how strong this deck can be. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I'll have some more for you soon. This is Puka from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys next time.